You ever get that pit in your stomach? Like, you know you're supposed to do something. File that form, send that email, make that call, but you just don't. And then one day you realize it cost you $12,000. Yep, that happened to me. It cost me $12,000. All right, let me set the stage. This was back when my oldest son was still a newborn baby, fresh out of the packaging. We're talking diapers, bottle warmers, the whole like sleep is a myth. For those of you with little kids out there, you know how it goes. Those first few months, you're basically a walking zombie in pajama pants, surviving on like coffee and, leftover mac and cheese. At the time, I was still teaching full-time, grading papers until late at night, lesson planning on the weekends. My whole educator lifestyle in full effect. And I had this little side hustle brewing. I was helping folks with money, taxes, spreadsheets, answering business questions, literally late at night, after all the other work was done. I don't want to make it sound glamorous. It was nothing fancy. It was just me, my laptop, and I had this weird knack for being able to explain financial stuff in a way that didn't make people's eyes glaze over. And there was that voice there, the one that whispers to you, hey, you could do this for real. This could be more than just a hobby. This could be your thing. Courtney, my wife, smarter, calmer, way better at balancing life than me, she says to me one night, so, are you gonna start that business or just keep doing free consulting for strangers online named Mega Man 82? Now, she was half joking, right? But also not really. Those comments stuck with me because deep down I knew she was right. I was putting in all these hours behind the scenes, building real skills and helping real people, but I was just treating it like some casual hobby instead of maybe the business that it could be. Problem was I didn't know what starting a business even meant. Like, do I just start? Do I need an LLC, an accountant, a lawyer? One of those guys that like wears a suit and I can just call up and he talks to me in his fancy car, right? I mean, looking back, this stuff sounds silly, but really, it was like, well, do I need business cards? Or what about a website? Do I need to start that email list? And to be honest, all these questions I had floating around at the bottom of it, I was just scared. I was scared I'd mess up. I was scared like the IRS would come after me if I didn't do something right. I really was just scared I'd look stupid and then fail. I'll admit it, there was this side of me that was scared that if I somehow made it official, that the magic would disappear. It would end up just becoming another job that I didn't love doing anymore. So I kept delaying, kept pushing it off, kept telling myself, I'll do it next week, next month. It's on my to-do list. I'll do it after the school year ends, when the baby goes to sleep. But no matter what, there was always some excuse. So then my buddy Bill, he's the one that started this local brewery tourism bus. He texts me and he's asking about the bus. He's a great guy because he's always just jumping into things in the best of ways. While the rest of us are over here overthinking everything, he already has 3 projects deep. And he sends me a text and it says, hey man, what do you know about payroll for bus drivers? I'm thinking of switching to an S-Corp. Now, we go way back and I've helped him with some business ideas before, but this was bigger. This was structure, strategy, actual business moves. I just reply, sure, I'm digging into it right now, exclamation point, because that's what I do. I say yes and I figure it out. And it was then when I took a step back and I realized like, hey, wait a minute, I'm not even setting up my own LLC yet. And here I am giving out business advice and helping other people who actually have like bona fide businesses. So there was a gap there. And that gap, that mistake, that's what cost me more than I made in an entire month of teaching in the classroom. So I started researching S-Corp's business structures. We're talking again, late nights, text code, articles, YouTube videos, the whole like nerd 9 yards. It turns out there's a time of year if you set up your LLC, but you haven't elected to be taxed as an S-Corp yet, then you're too late. But if you do it right, you can actually save a ton of money on self-employment tax. And we're talking like save thousands, real, actual, buy a decent used car, thousands of dollars. And then looking over at my business, the more I dug into this, I realized I'd already made $30K that year doing my side hustle. I was making YouTube videos, helping people with tax education, building free templates people could download online, basically helping others run their businesses smoother. But because I hadn't formed an LLC yet, I had missed the window to help myself out, even though I'd already helped so many others on their end with their businesses. Now, yes, I know what you're going to say, Rich, give yourself grace. I was already at the time working another full-time job as a teacher. And yes, I had a newborn baby at home. But that mistake, it cost me $12,000 because I waited, because I was scared, because I kept telling myself that my business wasn't a real business. So I finally told my wife, Courtney, I think I messed up. I think I could have saved us $12K if I would have started the LLC earlier. Like, that's real money. And I remember I was rattling off, like, that's a year of daycare or half a kitchen renovation, you know, a decent chunk of student loans. And her reaction, she wasn't upset. She didn't say, I told you so. She just looked me in the eye and she said, okay, so start it now. And that's what I did right there. I filed the LLC and all that other paperwork. It was a few $100 online. Let's say it took like 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That's it. The thing I'd been putting off for months, years maybe. It took less time than it takes to scroll through my phone just looking at social media. You know what I mean? It's less time than watching like a half-hour episode of TV. But that one thing, it opened the door to everything else I know now. Once that LLC was official, it just made everything feel more real. I went out and I got a business bank account. I started separating the personal and business finances. I was acting like a real business owner. Once the time was right, I set up a simple payroll system, and I'll link down below to that in the description of the video, to the one I use. It kind of seemed like clients were taking me more seriously too, and most importantly, I was taking myself more seriously. It was like flipping that switch, that I dabble switch to this is what I do switch. I'm talking from I'm a teacher who helps with finance stuff to I'm a financial educator with a real business. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Teachers like me, we're trained to wait for permission. We ask for rubrics, lesson plans, district approval. We work in systems with procedures and hierarchies. We're good at following rules, and we always wait for like the evaluations and the updates, and sometimes even like those test scores just to tell us like, hey, we're doing okay. But what I realize now, no one's grading you on your business. You've got to grade yourself. You're starting a business, there's no permission slip, there's no principal to sign off on your ideas. You just start. And yeah, maybe you mess up. Maybe you cost yourself a few wasted months or a few $1,000s, but then you learn, and that's the whole point. You learn by doing, not waiting for the perfect moment or waiting for permission. You get started, you grow, you stop waiting, and sometimes that's all it takes. It's filing that form, it's sending that email, it's making that call, the very thing that you've been putting off. So yeah, that was my $12,000 mistake. But honestly, it bought me something way more valuable. It bought me clarity. It forced me to face my fear, to stop hiding behind excuses or just keep saying someday, someday. And now, I help other people do the same thing. I mean, yes, I help them with their business, but really, I help them overcome the same hesitation that cost me so much because I've been there. I know exactly how it feels to get stuck in limbo between some idea and some execution, and that could be setting up the LLC, switching to the S-Corp, opening that business bank account. The technical stuff, honestly, it becomes easy once you get past some major mental blocks. So if you're sitting there thinking, I'll set up the business later, just know that later might cost you more than you think. And not just in tax savings or missed opportunity here or there. We're talking in confidence and momentum and true growth. It's not about the paperwork. It's about an identity shift from side hustler to business owner. And you don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need the perfect logo, website, business plan to get started. You just have to start. Remember this, 10-minute moves, lifelong leverage. That's what this is all about. If this hit home for you, check out the links below for some legit tools that help make starting an LLC or running payroll whenever you're ready for that S-Corp much easier. I use these same companies. They're affordable, simple, they don't make your brain hurt. And if you're not sure, what tool to use or, what order to sort of like go about things, I've created like a free business checklist down below that just helps you kind of walk through everything that I've talked about in this video. So I invite you to check it out. And if you're like me and you've been sitting there on the fence for a while, send this video to your business partner, to your life partner. Let it be the start of your kitchen table conversation. Because I'm telling you, 10 minutes can be the difference between dreaming and doing, between someday and one day. Don't wait until it costs you 12 grand to figure that out. And if you do have that pit in your stomach, yeah, I've been there. But 10 minutes can change everything. As always, I'm Rich, and until next time.